music today.
You can hear the music today?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Because if you can't hear the music, that's lame. It's way more fun with the music, isn't it?
Yeah.
And nobody else has music on their streams. They can't figure it out. Well, it's a tough bargain. My dad should be so proud that audio school finally paid off.
There you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live all over the world. YouTube.com, LinkedIn.com, X.com, Facebook.com. It is Wacky Wednesday. I'm here with my man, Casey Huff. How are you, sir?
What's happening? Doing good.
Just back in the mix, back in the office, running a company in America, modern day America. So, real estate, dude, people are kind of flipping their lids in the real estate department. Let's break down what you're doing to keep things moving and to keep deals flowing. I see you guys posting your deals. You're now recruiting agents. You're helping people from all different areas of the investment space to close deals and to be great at what they do. So let's talk about how we can help people do some deals this week in real estate. I've never seen, personally, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can help me with this. I've never seen an industry that's community is so connected. So like when things are bad, everybody knows. When things are great, everybody knows. Real estate is kind of like the pulse of the economy. Like you can kind of feel the pulse of the economy by how real estate's doing. So how can we help people this week do some deals on the agent side and the investor side?
Yeah, I mean, the core fundamentals I feel are the same regardless of whether it's slow or whether it's busy. You just show up every day, do the exact same habits and repetition. And, you know, some days you're going to knock down 4 or 5 contracts, and some days you're just planting seeds and you're going to go without any fruits. But then, you know, those seeds will blossom and then it just kind of dominoes. So, you know, when things are slow, just keep putting in the work, show up every day, and it'll pop off. I mean, we have days to where we don't get any leads, we don't get any contracts. So that's an opportunity for the guys to go back and do some follow-up, which is rule number 1 in this business. Is if you're not following up, then I mean you're just losing so much opportunity. And then, you know, 2-3 days that just like the floodgates open. And you know, I am a firm believer that everything goes in cycles of the moon. So right now, you know, it's a full moon. That's why it's probably a little messed up, you know, the pink moon that they're calling it. So,
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So, you know, being a car guy is like the end of the month, and when it's a full moon or like a major temperature weather pattern change, you know, everybody got skittish, and real estate kind of follows that too. So.
Well, so the weather's getting way nicer here in Texas. I feel like this winter was brutal, but maybe it's just because I hate winter. But I mean, when the weather starts to get nice, events start to pop off, people start to travel, people are, you know, bouncing around, networking, doing more. In real estate, there's a term for this. I can't think of what it was, but when the weather gets nicer, things turn on, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. As like the market is parallel with the temperature, right? So when it gets like it starts warming up in spring, everything starts warming up, and you get into the summer, into August, September, like that's where it's like the hottest. And then, you know, when the fall comes, it starts cooling off, and then
right.
The winter. Yeah. So yeah, they're very
yeah.
similar.
The game is, I think that, and this happens to me too, dude. When I feel good, it's easy to work. It's easy to go 110%. And then on the days where you don't feel that great, it can be really easy to just not. We're all guilty of it. Nobody's perfect. But I think we talked about this last time too. Your ability to push yourself on days where you don't feel that great, that's going to be the difference between you making it and not making it. Because the people that are the best that we look at, that we think are these superhuman people, they're not. They just put 110% in when they feel like they're at 20%.
Yeah, because those days compound. So, I mean, if you're taking a day, you know, most people take a 2-day weekend, right? I take
Right.
like a 6-hour weekend. And so, over years that compounds to where when you're taking two, I'm taking, a fourth of that weekend. And so, it definitely adds up over time to where it's just,
Totally.
it's massive.
I think that even within our social media agency, it separated us from a lot of people. We work the holidays. We post every single day of the year. We never miss a day. And I think that people who are like, oh, we take weekends off and, no one's going to be available till Monday. That's unacceptable, especially when you're dealing with someone's brand or their identity online. If they cannot get a hold of you right away, that's a huge mistake. Somebody's got to be available for the customer, because if you're representing someone's brand and you're inside their page posting for them like we do, you've got to be able to get a hold of that person 100% of the time. All the time. Because if somebody gets logged out, or somebody needs to get logged in, or as you know, all these verification codes, we want your account to be safe. So we have to use all that. We're not going to turn it all off. It's a huge pain in the butt, but is it more of a pain in the butt for me to get in or to keep other people out?
Yeah.
I'll accept
100%.
the two factor. And so these are all variables. Nobody thinks about this stuff. And again, this is just what I deal with in my business with my customers. How many things do people deal with in their businesses with their customers that they could be more available and provide better customer service? We were talking about this the other day with regards to, so in Christianity, it's Holy Week this week, right? I don't know if you know that. So in Christianity, it's like Holy Week. And like, I think last month in the Islamic faith, it was like Ramadan. So people celebrate their own way of praying and all this kind of stuff. And some places are a lot more welcoming than others. And this can go for churches, businesses, real estate agents, brokerages, loan experts, whatever. If I walk into your building, I want to feel welcome. I want to feel like I belong. I want to feel included. I don't want to feel isolated or whatever. And this translates into every single aspect of life. If I go to In-N-Out Burgers right now, they have the best customer service. And I think that the point I'm making is that if I walk into a building and I don't feel welcome, I'm not coming back. No matter what it is, whether it's a business or a church or whatever. And I think that people struggle with certain aspects of life because they just plain don't feel welcome. And so our job as entrepreneurs, business owners, if you are, because I don't know if you've been following, there's all this pastor drama online. I don't know if you've seen it. A lot of the big pastors are like arguing with each other, which is kind of funny because it's like Holy Week. We're supposed to be super holy. And they're like yelling at each other and making videos about each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cringe. This isn't, I think, how we were supposed to do it. But what do I know? I'm just old Pat from the block. I don't know anything. So I'm not getting involved in that fight.
No, I'm kind of blind to all that.
Yeah. And that's fine. But I think it's just like, if you treat people in a welcoming manner, no matter what background you come from or how you pray or how you look or how you act or whatever, if you treat people in a welcoming manner, you're going to win. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter where you pray or what building you go to pray in. If you treat people good, they're going to treat you good back. And so I think the whole lesson behind the whole thing was the whole thing in the first place. If you treat people good, you live like a good person, then you will attract that in your life. And I think that social media has given people the ability to say crazy shit with no consequences. And I think that's good and bad in some ways. And I think that if you look at how we're supposed to treat each other this week, traditionally, if you're in that belief system, then you're supposed to treat each other good. But you're not supposed to just treat each other good for 1 hour a week. You're supposed to treat each other good for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I encourage everybody out there to think about when you walk into a building, regardless of whether if it's a church or a mosque or a temple or In-N-Out Burger or Chick-fil-A or Whataburger or White Castle, if you don't feel welcome, you're not going to come back. So you always got to think about when people come to your page on Facebook There's nothing wrong with you standing for what you believe in. But if people feel like they're unwelcome in the conversation or they are not able to contribute, they're not going to come back. I posted something about the tariffs the other day, and I worded it in a way that was like, do you think this is a good idea? Yes or no? Because I thought it was a way better way than me being like hardcore about it, because I don't know enough about the topic. Or tariffs or anything. I'm not some kind of economic business expert. You know that. So my job is to have a conversation with people that is welcoming so that I can get their views on how they think this is going to go. And I think that the more we use these social tools for that, the better off we're going to be. We want people to feel welcome. And so I think that real estate, people are scared to ask questions because they want to feel like they've got 100 doors and they're cash flowing. They feel like if they don't have the Lambo and the mansion and the whatever it's called, the Rolex, that they're not going to be successful or that they don't fit in. I feel like that's so false. And I also feel like 95% of people that I meet in real estate that are successful aren't that anyway. And they're the most welcoming people.
Enjoy that stuff.
My career wouldn't even have worked if it wasn't for real estate people being so cool. This is the whole point. They've welcomed Pat Hilton's entertainment, crazy media style into their industry. And I've been able to help other people have a voice and be welcomed by the community because they're using media. Where else in business is that possible? I mean, it's awesome. And so my job is to make sure everybody feels welcome on social media when it comes to real estate in the entrepreneur space. And I think as real estate people, the people that are coming up in the game now, they already know that all the Lambo, Rolex, mansion stuff is fake anyway. They're looking for people like you and your partner to partner with to either be an agent or an investor because they just want to work for somebody that's doing it and they just want to feel welcomed. Mm-hmm. If I come into your establishment and I don't feel welcome, or everybody who's a bigwig is arguing and fighting, and I can't be a part of that chaos.
Yeah.
And so how are you guys cutting all the noise and just focusing on deals? Because, dude, I see your partner, all he posts about is deals. That's it. He might make a post about Jesus sometimes. God, I love him for that too. But, dude, he's super grounded and he focuses on deals. That's it.
I mean, that's so many people chase the flashy and the noise and want to be a disruptor instead of just showing up every day, you know, and producing HUDs. I mean, that's as simple as the business is just do the X's and O's day in, day out, make a fun environment, make it a great culture, make it to where people want to come here. Like most of my team, like when it's 5 o'clock, 5:30, like we're like, man, it's already time to go. Once 20 over here starts backing up, that's kind of where like, oh, the day's coming to an end. It doesn't even feel like it. So, you know, the environment and the opportunity that we've created for people to come in to where it doesn't feel like a job, to where they can, you know, make unlimited amounts of income, and we're helping people. Like it's the trifecta of win, win, win. So, you know, posting all the transactions and deals that we're doing is showcasing, you know, the time and the daily habits and consistency that's been built here.
Dude, and I love it because I'm on social media all day. So don't blame me for knowing all the drama. I can't help but see it. And the worst part is because I actually monitor my clients' accounts. I know, a logical concept. So I'm actually on the client's account. So I see what the clients follow and see too, not just what I see. Again, logical concept that the CEO would actually monitor a client's account. I know that's crazy, but we actually do that here. And so I see and I watch and I see and I take notes, and I'm like, a lot of the time I'm like, that's exactly what I don't want to be like. And when Pat Hilton, who's got one of the biggest mouths on the planet, is like, yeah, I don't want to be that, that's probably a problem. And I think that people don't necessarily consider how big of a turnoff it is If they flip flop on stuff or they've got a new thing, like you see it every 2 years, they're an expert at something else. And then, they're the novation guy, then they're the flip guy, then they're the wholesale guy, then they sell this or that. And then they're like, oh, well, I don't want to do real estate anymore. I just want to sell coaching. And by the way, if you guys don't know, coaching is so hard to sell, which is why most coaches don't make any money. It's extremely difficult to sell. You're better off selling, almost giving the coaching away. And that, like what you guys are doing, there's a coaching system involved with this real estate agent Ambition X, right? Like you're training these people.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just give them the training, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm not even associated with the company, and I already know that's what you're Come in, we will train you, we will give you leads and help you. And if you do the work, you'll make money. But the coaching now, I don't know that it's necessarily worth anything. It's the accountability and the one-on-one guidance that's actually worth money, because knowledge is free now.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're not doing anything special. It's,
just doing deals.
We were at an event last night and everybody's like, this is dead, that's dead. Here's where we're all having problems. Like the old school methods don't work, and postcards and mail don't work. And I'm like, I mean, it does for us.
Yeah, you love postcards and mail. I know a lot of people that make a ton of money on mail.
Yeah. So, I think the industry's shifting back to mail. So, everything kind of has its pendulum shifts.
Interesting. Why do you think that's happening? Because it's just less of a burden of you calling and texting me or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, there's less regulations, less red tape. You don't have a lot of the newbies aren't going to be able to compete in mail right away. So, they're doing the PPL stuff and it's just the bottom of the barrel. It's still fascinating to me when I see a property that we walked probably 3 weeks prior hit social media on Facebook from a wholesaler sending it, and it's just like, that's not a deal, man. So like, we've already been there, we've already walked it, we've already made the offer. So, but yeah, when you control your own system and don't have a third party controlling it for you, like you can get much faster, much more efficient. And like we see deals probably before 75-80% of the market even knows about it.
Which is huge, because I think that's the big separator. I think that's why you guys are so relaxed and you're not stressed out about what everybody else is saying or doing, is because you're in your own little lane. I think that too many people are trying to, they're trying to be somebody else or trying to do somebody else's thing. Like in music, somebody comes out, right? They've got a big, huge hit, right? Guns N' Roses comes out, and then like 70 other bands want to sound just like Guns N' Roses. And it's just like, dude.
Yeah,
bro.
I want to say, one of the reasons for both of our successes is we just found a model that worked well for us and we've stuck to it. So like creating notes and seller financing and sub-2 and all this creative title stuff, like, yeah, we probably don't capitalize every single day. We rarely wholesale, right? That's not our business model.
That's just not your model. And I love that. It doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it wrong. It's just not our business model. Somebody asked me the other day, hey, can you make whatever it was, like a promo video with this and that and the other thing, and we want to do, and I'm like, that's just not really what we do. Yeah. Like, we're kind of a personal branding agency.
So many people want to, like, oh, that's an opportunity to make, $5,000. And then if I can get another 100 people to do it, now I can make XYZ.
No.
So people they spread out. They spread themselves so thin instead of just becoming an expert at one thing, doing it well, and rinse and repeat, and then build the processes and then people around it. And that's what's allowing us to, it's allowing me to go now become a SaaS founder. It's allowing me to now build out a marketing segment for all of our companies. And so as we keep scaling, I mean, it gets easier and easier. So, yeah.
I think it's great. I think you're also going to be able to help your agents get on camera I think you're getting to a point now where you kind of know how this all works. I think that you guys could grow a huge agent list because, again, you know me pretty well. I'll always use a real estate agent. I am a traditional financing consumer. I would only buy something on traditional financing. I'm not trying to really make money as an investor in that department, although I do use real estate to lower my tax liability. I run my company out of my house, X, Y, and Z, and I learned those skills from, Pace, who's Mr. Creative Finance. And even he was like, yeah, I agree that you shouldn't get aggressive on trying to replace your working business model, but these strategies are super smart for you. Even he gets it. It's just like, you don't want to go out there and not be focused enough so you lose. That's not smart. But yeah, these strategies work. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to replace a working business model just because of somebody else's style.
Yeah. Just something new and flashy comes out.
Implement the pieces of what they do well that fit your model, and then move that in. But don't try and replace what's working.
No, 100%.
It's just not smart.
We keep posting. We're looking for more acquisitions people to come join the team, and I probably average 60 leads a month right now, direct to seller. And my guy, I have two guys, they can't keep up just because we're so fine-tuned and dialed in on the marketing that the only people that filter in that go to them are at the bottom of the funnel, they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
They check all the boxes. And so there's so much more stuff I can add into marketing. I've even had to dial back the data that we're marketing to because we can't keep up. So, we're probably closing, I think, our direct to seller stuff, we did 14 last month, direct to seller.
That's huge.
Just here in DFW. And, for those that don't know, there's no wholesaler, there's no other people finding them. So that's the system that I've created with the data, the agents, VA agents, cold calling, handing it off to acquisitions team and going belly to belly to lock them up.
Well,
so,
one of the things you do well, and we've talked about this before, and I'm friends with all these people, and so I don't have a problem saying it, but PropStream, great software for people. But one of the issues that you would run into is that, now you're sharing data with 20 million other investors that want the same deal you want. That doesn't make PropStream bad. It just means that for your business model, you do not want to compete with people on those deals. You want to bypass that and go and get that data on your own before they get it, correct?
Correct. Every single piece of data I have is directly from the source, regardless of what it is. And so if I learn about a new lead source, and let's say there's a third-party aggregate like PropStream, for an example.
Which doesn't make them bad. I think this is a good conversation for people.
Correct.
You can PropStream and still get your own leads, folks, okay?
I'm going to go there and analyze the data on the third-party aggregator and say, okay, where are they getting it from? And what's the source, right? And then I just keep, okay, where are they getting it from? Where are they getting it from? Where are they getting it from? And then slowly you get to the source, and then there's going to be a barrier to getting into it. So sometimes, you gotta have attorney access. You gotta set up an API key to access it, and then you gotta totally reconfigure the data because it's in coding, right? So there's all these different sources, and that's one of the things that I'm going to personally be building out with my development team. Is we're going to build a database that all of this data from all of these sources comes into one spot, and then we're going to make it into our own personal filtering system, and then I'll be able to market to it. So that's something that I'm personally going to keep in house. I'm not bringing that to market. That's the secret sauce.
Well, right.
And,
and that's how those other companies make their money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And so it's just, everybody preaches speed to lead. I would preach speed to data.
Got it. Yeah, that's true. I got a buddy, he's got an outbound cold call system, and they do a great job with that. And dude, speed to lead's his game. Because again, for that model, it works. But for your model, it's like, ooh, well, they've got this whole thing here. I want to stay over here in my own little market. So maybe if you're doing nationwide wholesaling or X, Y, and Z, which again, not your model, that outbound system might be great.
Yeah, I mean,
but for you have way more of a tunnel vision.
Inbound marketing system, like if they're filling out a form on Facebook or Google or something like that, they're filling out thousands of forms. So that's where speed to lead matters. If we get an SEO lead off our website, that's speed to lead because they're filling them out everywhere. But when you're going to the source and talking to these people before they even know the problem exists, and you're saying, hey, yo, did you know Chase Bank just filed foreclosure on your ass last night? Like 9 times out of 10, they don't know. And then we don't go for the close right there. We try to coach them through it to say, look, here's your options.
Right.
To save it, we're the last one. We want you to stay in your house.
Of course you do. Yeah.
So, and it's once you get great at that, the business is easy because then you're just planting seeds. And when it doesn't work out, they come to you.
Yeah, I think that I've always said this, that making yourself available is really smart. And I also think, and this is something I've learned recently, because when, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I felt like I couldn't buy a deal, right? Like I played the Cardone event and I did a bunch of big events and as an MC, and then I'm like trying to like make that transition into, okay, well, the reason why I got all these gigs and I'm on all these stages with Gary Vee and Uncle G and whoever else is because I make these videos. And it took people years to realize that they needed those videos. And I don't know that maybe I wasn't very good at explaining it, or I wasn't that great at talking on camera yet. So maybe the way it was easier for me to talk about it on stage in front of an audience than it was to actually talk about it on camera, because it really wasn't my performance style. I'm like a guitar player. And so I had to completely reformat my entertainment style to fit the demand of the marketplace. And I also think that's a problem people have, is they get used to being one way because they like it. And so it becomes comfortable for them. But if Eric Clapton and his music came out right now in 2025, I don't know that it would have the same impact as it did in the 1970s and 80s. So you got to think about like what worked then isn't going to work now. What worked 2 years ago isn't going to work now for Pat. Just being the guy on stage that talks about, I got to have my own podcast, my own environment, my own events, my own things, because I've graduated to the point where it's like, unfortunately, I always looked at everybody else as the authority, and now I've accepted the fact that over the next few years, I have to become the authority. And that can be a tough thing to accept. Like, I almost didn't even call this show Social Authority at first, because I was like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like I'm trying to say I'm this or that. It's like, no. You're becoming it as you make it. And I think people need to think about what's the end goal. What's the end goal? If I want to provide an environment where people can come and they can speak and they can broadcast and they can record, no one ever provided that for me. I never had that 20 years ago. If I would have had that, maybe I would have been way more successful. And so one thing I learned from a guy, he's a mentor of mine, client of our agency, Kyle Mallion's his name. He's a business acquisition guy. I've brought him up before. He's always like, dude, my job is to be the person I didn't have 25 years ago. I think Martell has said this too. How can I be that dude that when I was 21 and I was drinking or smoking or being an idiot, that I would have bumped into that was like, hey man, you got a ton of talent. If you just do this, and this, like you're going to crush it. And so I think that as we move into this social digital era, our job is to help people see what kind of talent they have and then magnify that talent. And I think that with you guys, with this agency, real estate agent model that you guys are doing, and with helping investors get deals and stuff, that's what you're starting to do. You're turning into a talent pool where you can find talented people and they can go out and they can create a career for themselves with your guys' magnifying their skills. It's almost a similar thing to coming into the studio.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple angles to where it's like, look, you can come in and we'll teach you the systems, the processes. Kendall, he's kind of the heading up the Ambition X and kind of like the traditional leads and processes and stuff like that. And so him and Nathan have done a great job at building it, getting it to where it's at. And I think we have like 9 or 11 agents in the first 30 days.
That's
That the
huge.
brokerage was like officially. So like right now it's like, okay, well, we're going to let it settle out. We're going to start doing some marketing for the typical traditional real estate. And then, we're going to hit the gas again. And so that's been really good to have that on the backside of it with what we're doing as an investment company, the software company, and sales and marketing. Once I have a solution that's out there and that's stable, I can now very easily go find other investors like us in markets, but they just have a deal flow problem, and offer help and just partner up with them, whether that's marketing, whether that's us locking up a deal and providing funding, they manage the rehab, or they just buy us out. So like to scale this up to become, I don't want to be a nationwide wholesaler. I want to be a nationwide flipper, leveraging other businesses to build them up from doing 2 or 3 a month to doing, like us buying 22 a month, and just help them hold their hand, because we've done it. So we have the playbooks, we know what talent it takes, and we know the funding, how crazy and chaotic that is. So it's just partnering with people and leveling everybody up across the country. Like that's my goal with the software that I built.
Yeah, and that's huge because it's something everybody is going to use. Dude, I'm telling you, and like as I said, dude, the real estate community, I've never seen an industry of people that are so supportive of everybody else. It's crazy because in music, it's not like that because everybody's broke. So anytime somebody wins or they make it, they're a sellout. You sold out on the scene.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, we definitely sold out the arena last night. Like that's the only thing we sold out. I've never understood why people get so upset when somebody else gains momentum and takes off and wins. And the only thing I can think of, it's just not them.
Yeah.
And that is a signal to the universe when you act like that you're never going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, when starting out in real estate, you see, like that's when the social media and YouTube was real big. And you see, in 2019, 2020, when it was so easy and everybody's just like
slanging wholesale deals
left and right. And I'm just like, man, I'm trying to get two, and so instead of saying, why not me? It's like, I can do that. So I'm just going to work as hard as I can, my way to be there someday. And so now it's like we're there. And so it's like, how do we take it to the next level? Because so many of those people that popped off early on in 2018 through 2020, they're gone. They checked out.
Long gone, bro.
So like how many people are actually still in the business?
Because I was there. Yeah. That was you're talking about the time when like Pace and Jamil like first came together and started doing free meetups. The wholesaling thing was huge. And then the celebrity entrepreneur real estate scene kind of started to fizzle out. And then about 2022 or 2023 was when the people that really put in the groundwork started to get big. And the guys that just wanted to be coaches started to go broke.
Yeah.
Because they were too busy out there celebrating. This is another thing. It's like, dude, there's an old Eric Thomas speech. Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. You know who I'm talking about, right? You know who I mean?
if I saw him,
All
probably.
right,
But
so he's
off the
this
top of my
great
head,
speaker.
no.
Look him up. Eric Thomas. He's unbelievable. Probably, arguably one of the best motivational speakers ever. He's really, really, really good. And he does all these sports takes, right? So he's doing a sports take on Emmitt Smith. So Emmitt Smith, you know, he's the greatest NFL running back of all time. No one's ever gotten more yards than Emmitt Smith. He's the best. But back then, he won his first Super Bowl, and he had worked his whole life to win the first Super Bowl. And takes like one day off, celebrates, and like the next Thursday or whatever it was after the parade, like he's back in the gym doing bench presses. Because he's like, dude, I have to sustain this. Now I've only won once. And obviously we know the story of the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. They obliterated everybody. But that would not have happened if he would have just celebrated forever. Tom Brady didn't just celebrate forever.
Yeah.
And none of these investors or anybody celebrated forever. Elon or anybody. You know, hate Elon or whatever all you want. But like the guy made PayPal, SpaceX, X. I mean, the dude is not going away. And so you can be mad at these people, or you can look at what they did and say, all right.
You respect the hustle.
Right. I don't have to like everything about this person. Grant Cardone gave me the lunch break, and I'm probably one of his biggest fans in the world, but I don't agree with every single thing Grant Cardone says. If I did, I'd be a poser. But there's a lot of things that he says where I'm like, that's pretty good. How do you take the things that you really love from all these different folks and then integrate it into your style, because it's going to make you better? I think if people looked for the positive, look for the one great thing that somebody does better than anybody else, and let that be the thing that you remember about that person, it will completely reshape your mindset about how you look at people. Because, dude, there's bands that I hate certain bands. But I have gone back and I've like listened to their music and I'd be like, you know what though? I really like the way the guitar player does this. Because I don't want to have a negative attitude anymore. It just trickles into every other thing that you do. This sucks or that sucks or this at this guy. Like, dude, if you do that in your head, and even if you don't say it out loud, it is toxic and it is energy draining.
So one of the things I try to do is I always try to see everybody does something uniquely different. And so everybody's successful in their own versions. And so whenever you're out mingling and interacting with people, it's trying to figure out that one little piece that they do well and then trying to reframe it. So how can I adjust what I do to do that? And so like, you don't need to freaking be Andy Elliott 24/7.
No.
But like, for me, it's just learning his, the word tracks that he teaches are like old school car business, right? So you don't need to be aggressive to get people. You don't need a six pack, to sell cars. But if you're quick on your feet and you know how to talk to people, that's going to correlate. And so if you take that from everybody that you watch and just pick up bits and pieces and implement them and work on them, like time over time, and you just do it little by little, it's going to compound. And then before you know it, you've built a solid foundation to where you can continue and compete with Elon.
Totally, dude. And again, if you see a person like that come across your feed and your automatic thing is hate, I mean, you got to figure out if that happens once, it's happening anytime somebody like that crosses you in that category. You got to figure out a way to shut that off because what those people want is they want to hack you off.
So there's a new flashy builder that's coming across my Facebook feed, and he's like, I mean, he's tatted up. You can tell he comes from a troubled past, and he's like rolling around in his decked out Mercedes wagon with like all the flash.
Yeah, not your style at all.
He's buying $1 million car, and like, he's just ultra douchey, right? And I'm immediately like, oh, here's another one.
Yeah, that's not your style.
And then I'm sitting here listening to his stuff, and he's like, what he's saying is not wrong. Whether or not he's credible or not, I don't know. I don't agree with how he presents himself because he's making, he's a builder, he's a developer, whatever. I could say that too. I develop spreadsheets, right? But like, just the way the way you hold yourself
It's not
is the
your marketing
audience. It's the
style.
audience that you're gonna go after. It's
Right.
you're gonna attract, and so that's something that I got to be careful of. Man, leads are on fire today.
Well, yeah, and it's just like just because that's not your style of marketing doesn't mean that it doesn't work for him. It is what it is. Like if that's his presentation, great. And I remember even back in the day, because I'm like a songwriter and stuff, and so like I was even bringing it up as like it's like Holy Week this week. So like I come from the Christian churches and stuff like that, and so if you want to be a rock star, like you don't sing worship songs. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And if people want to argue with me, that's fine. Go listen to Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, anybody who was a number one band, Journey, Boston, anybody. Find me a worship song on their records. I'll wait. There isn't one. Okay, so in a songwriter's head, it's like you don't want to ever sing about that because you'll never be a real rock star. And so right there, it's like, okay, well, you just put a limit on yourself because really a third of the planet believes in X, Y, and Z. And so now you could be impacting 33% of the world by writing a great worship song, but you didn't do it because you're telling yourself nobody's going to like it or you're not going to be cool. So now you're already letting other people's opinions affect your artist or your creativity or your model or whatever. And so again, I only think about this stuff now because it's so much further down the line. And even with, like you said, like with Pace, like that's not my business model either. But dude, Pace has got some great information on how I can use real estate for my office and for my business and for masterminds and this and that. Why would you guys have an office? You could put it into a house. You could do this. Now you have more time with your family, with your kids. I am so much happier because I took that advice, even though it was scary. That was great advice.
Yeah.
And so if you cut yourself off from being creative in the way that is the most authentic to you, I think you're shutting yourself off from actually being successful. Because I don't want to be Guns N' Roses or AC/DC or Journey. That already happened. They already did it. It's 2025 now. And so what are you going to do in 2025 to be awesome? I'm always music. So there's this guy, Benson Boone. You heard of Benson Boone?
Nope.
All right, so he's this new artist. He's a young guy, really young guy. He's in incredible shape. He's got an incredible voice, and he's extremely athletic. So he can like backflip off the top of pianos and stuff, which is super punk rock, but he's like a pop star. I've never seen it before except in punk rock venues. He's doing it. And so he played at Coachella, which is like quote unquote sellout music festival. Again, you only play that festival if you're a really, really big name. So of course you're selling out. Venues, arenas, t-shirts, maybe DVDs or Blu-rays if people still watch those. I would love to be a sellout artist any day of the week. Calling someone a sellout is the ultimate compliment in the music business. It means you made it. So this magazine, they're called Pitchfork, and all they do is talk shit. And so they wrote this nasty article about how bad Benson Boone is. And I kind of thought about it and I was like, so you literally wrote an article about how bad Benson Boone is when he went up on stage at Coachella and sang Queen Bohemian Rhapsody. Now you've heard of Queen, right, Casey? Yeah. All right. Praise the Lord. And you've heard the song Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Yes. Mamma mia, mamma mia. Okay, well, as you can imagine, that song's very difficult to sing. Practically impossible. This guy goes up there and sings that song, and the original guitar player from Queen comes out and starts playing the whole solo. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, hey, what a cool thing for a young guy to play a tribute in almost impossible song to sing. He pretty much nailed it. And this freaking loser from Pitchfork comes out and says his performance sucked. I mean, I got to tell you, this person is a columnist for a reason. They've never been on stage. They sure as hell haven't been on stage with the original guitar player from Queen singing one of the hardest vocal lines ever. Why is it that these sideline warriors are getting support from commenters online. It's such a waste of time. I almost commented, and I was like, you know what?
Almost got you.
I'm not even going to waste my time on this. And I scrolled. I was so proud of myself, Casey. Because me telling that columnist that they're an idiot and that they've never played on stage and that they probably couldn't even play a G chord, then they win. That's what they want me to say. Mm-hmm. It was a trap. And I caught myself. 3 years ago, I would have wasted my time on that thread. I think this is a good lesson for people out there. When you are like me, and maybe that's your background or that's where you came from, and you're emotional about it, and you're attached to it, and it's part of who you are because you feel it. Got to be careful. And Martell told me this when I was talking to him backstage. Got to be really careful with the fact that you're an emotional guy and that you're an artist, because you don't ever want to let that get in the way of your business decisions or the way you communicate on a show or a podcast or whatever, because you can never take it back.
Yeah.
And so you always got to be careful, because he's like, I'm a lot like that too. And I could say or do the wrong thing and it could blow up right in my face. So it's always smart, if you guys are scrolling social media and you see something as ridiculous as this Pitchfork article from this loser, to just not comment and then make fun of it on your own show. Okay.
Yeah.
So if this Pitchfork artist wants to come onto the show and sing Bohemian Rhapsody better than Benson Boone, I will put them on the show and watch them embarrass themselves. I wish there was a foghorn that I could hit. I'm putting a foghorn for next week so I can hit a foghorn sound effect next time. But as a real estate, I brought this whole thing up because we post on your page and this person's page and the other page. And so sometimes I'll see a video come up and I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Why would this real estate person post this? And I have to remember that I'm not on my page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How important is it for people, especially in real estate, because everybody knows everybody, to just kind of zip it?
Oh no, it's
hard.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're knowledgeable about the topic, just shut up.
Yeah. There's just so much time to waste on the internet with stuff like that. And it's not worth it. I would rather just laugh about it with you. But especially in business, because everybody's trying to be seen, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's so many distractions that happen that take you off the ball because you're just out there being distracted.
Yeah, you're allowing yourself to let those people in between the years. So I feel I do a pretty good job of trying to block out all the noise. I don't really care.
Dude, it's hilarious when I ask you about this stuff and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, like it doesn't move the needle for me and accomplishing my goals. So I don't really care, you know.
But it's also kind of funny that the people on the sidelines or the columnists or the Siskel and Eberts or the whoever, the people who have never made a movie, never played on a stage, never wrote a hit, never closed a big deal or run a company or done payroll, have all these things to say about the people that do. And so the best thing you can do as someone who's on the stage or in the arena or on the field or in the investment community, whatever you are, is to get so focused on your craft and so good at your craft that those people can't help but write about you.
Yeah.
Because if Benson Boone really did suck, he wouldn't even have any articles about him. And Brian May from Queen surely would not be on stage with him. So
yeah, that's true.
There you go, Pitchfork. Going into the end of the week, you can hear the music, right?
Yeah, I can hear it this time.
What do people need to do to stay focused, eliminate distractions, and double down on execution?
Man, I think it's simple as setting a goal, setting actionable steps to that goal, and don't deviate, let anything take you off that pursuit.
Yep.
and it makes it much easier to accomplish it.
And as I've seen a lot of people say, my buddy Tim Harridge says it, Dan Martell says it, dude, the main thing has got to be the main thing. Pick something, get great, put time into it, and get so good that you're just undeniable. And once you get good, and once you gain momentum, and once you start to become successful, you're going to notice certain people don't like it just because it's not them.
100%.
End of story. It's crazy. So be that person, be that disruptor in your industry. Go out there and kick some tail. Make sure to go add Casey. If you're looking for a real estate agent opportunity, you want to be a part of an agency, or is that called a brokerage?
A brokerage.
Yeah, sorry. If you're an agent that wants to be a part of a brokerage, I'm a social media agency. So I'm like agency. Call Casey, hit up Ambition X. They're dope. They are looking for people. If you're looking for a place to work with people that actually do real estate for a living, you want to talk to these guys. They're cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will see you on the next one. Add us, friend us. Any questions that you have, we are happy to answer them at any time. We'll see you on the next one. Later, brother.
Peace out.
No.